At a Social Distance is inspired by staying together through this strange, confusing, and stressful time. I have measured out 6 feet between me and my guest. This is the social distance set forth by the CDC to drastically reduce the spread of the coronavirus. I sanitize the table and chairs, allowing for a safe space for conversation. At a Social Distance has a very unique format. Each guest will answer 15 questions. I, the host, will ask 10 of the same question to each guest in the same order for every show. The guest will then be given 5 questions that the previous guest wrote for them. The kicker is, each following guest will not be announced until the prior guest has their questions written. Before this podcast concludes, I aim to have a highly diverse set of individuals come social distance with me. At a Social Distance. Who are you?
Well, Phil, I'm Matt Vining, 25 years old, born and raised in Albuquerque. I'm a recent grad of UNM, and I'm working to become a financial advisor here pretty soon. Getting my Series 7. Supposed to be this month, but with this social distancing stuff, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take that test yet. But other than that, I'm a young man just trying to figure out the world, just like we all are.
Cool. Is there anything else you would like to say about who you are?
I think that about sums it up.
Awesome.
Right now.
So your second question is, how have you been spending your time?
Man, it's been hard trying to fill out my time. I am working from home now, but that doesn't take up 40 hours a week. So I've been trying to find some stuff to do. It's been really nice that Hannah, my girlfriend's been back. She's in LA for a little while. So we've just been spending some quality time together, watching a bunch of HBO shows and binging a bunch of stuff. That's been really fun. As far as actual productive things, I've been trying to get better at. I've actually been trying to map out my family tree, and I've just been using this time to do that. Traced it back to 1870 census so far, so that's been good. I found all the way back to my great grandpa, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. They have the Mormons run this website called Family Search.
Yeah.
And before I started this, I had no idea that they're like one of the world leaders in like genealogy and keeping track of records like that. And so, yeah, that's something that surprised me. Other than that, we've been taking daily walks just around our building, try to walk at least a couple miles a day.
We meaning just you and Hannah, correct?
Me and Hannah, yeah. We haven't really seen anyone else. You're the first person I've seen in a couple weeks. Yeah, other than that, just trying to social distance, and we've been trying to eat out a lot more. Or not eat out, but take out to as many local places as we can. Trying to support the local businesses, because I know they're having a hard time right now.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to say about how you've been spending your time?
I think that's it.
Awesome. Our third question is, who do you look up to?
I think I look up to different people for different things. I look up to my parents, and specifically my dad, just because, he has a really kind heart, and he's always putting other people ahead of himself. Doesn't matter what it is, and he always takes care of people around him before himself, and that's something that I've learned from him that I really value, and I try to put that forth in my life as many times as I can. As far as professionally, I look up to Elon Musk. Is a kind of like a cliche answer, but I honestly do think that he is an amazing innovator, an amazing first principles thinker, and he's done a lot for for humanity as a whole, as far as Tesla and SpaceX and Boring Company and all of that. And specifically the first principles thinking is something that I really look up to him about. Is instead of taking copying something that is successful and like trying to implement it in his factories, as far as like Tesla goes, he tries to think about from the bottom level up, like what is like the best way to manufacture cars, what is the best way that humans can get around, and what's like the best way from a physics standpoint of how to get to Mars and how to accomplish all these different goals. And I think that's something that a lot of the professional world could use a lot more instead of just trying to copy something that already works.
Okay. Is there anybody else that you look up to?
I'm thinking on the spot. I can't really think of a lot of people. As my dad specifically is first and foremost. But there's a lot of community leaders, professors that I've had, teachers at Academy.
Anyone specifically?
Mr. Nash, definitely. He opened my eyes to literature. That's something I was never really experienced with before his class, and something about the way that he approaches it, like so calm, and he really makes you realize like the beauty that you can get from reading and from literature and poetry and stuff like that. Let's see. Yeah, other than that, I look up to a lot of people, but those people specifically had a big impact on me.
Awesome. Our fourth question, Matt, is how do you express yourself?
See, when you gave me the show notes for this one, this is the question that trumped me up the most, I think. Because when I really started thinking about it, I don't have a lot of hobbies that I specifically express myself with. Like, I don't really paint or write poetry or play an instrument or anything like that to where you like directly express yourself. My hobbies are mostly introverted, I guess. Like, I would maybe like listen to podcasts or like read something or maybe browse Reddit or something. So this is kind of hard for me to think about, and I think the way that I best express myself is having a good, deep conversation with friends. That's where I feel like the best and the most comfortable with, and I kind of like playing devil's advocate with some people and just seeing where they come from different stuff and how they react to different things and how they approach life. And I think the best conversations can be had on a hike or outdoors. It's my favorite place to talk to people. I just think there's something about the outside and the big open sky or whatever really brings out, I don't know, just deeper thoughts in people, and kind of brings you away from your daily engrossment in your phone or in a TV or in your computer or your job. And I just like having genuine conversations with people. I think that's how I express myself the best. Seeing as my other hobbies I don't write music or write poetry or anything like that. So I think it's best to express myself with conversation back and forth. And also, I don't try to go on big monologues a lot of the time. I try to listen to someone, and I do mostly listening. So this is kind of a 180 from what I'm used to this interview. So it's been good.
I understand that. Are there any other ways that you express yourself that you haven't mentioned before?
Express myself. I think, other than what I just said, I think maybe traveling. I really enjoy traveling. It's not really a hobby or anything like that, but I really like seeing how other people live and how their way of life differs from ours, and what's better and what's worse about it, and what can we learn from the way other people live and how they organize their societies. And I like getting out of town and experiencing new things. That's not really expressing myself, I guess, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and I enjoy sharing it with other people too.
Awesome. Our fifth question is, what do you want to do?
What do I want to do? Yeah, this is a good question for early 20-something-year-old. Been doing a lot of, I think all of us have been doing a lot of introspection about this, and some people have it straightforward. A lot of people say that I have it straightforward because I'm a finance major, and I'm supposed to have a set path, and I want to eventually one day become a financial advisor. But I think it's more than that. Most people should think not necessarily about what their job is going to be, but like what kind of impact they should make on the world. And I've been doing a lot of thinking about that as far as like how could I can merge finance and making a positive impact on the world. And I think being a financial advisor, as far as what I see so far, best fits that description, because a lot of people don't necessarily know what to do with their finances, or if they were to invest at any point, they wouldn't necessarily know what to invest in or anything. And I think that's where I could step in and do some good, is kind of guide them and set them on a path to where in 40 years they'll be set for retirement or set for life, and they won't have to be worried about anything financial, and they'll be able to travel or visit with their family, or do anything that they really want to do. And I think that's how I could best, what I want to do, the question is make a good impact on the world. And I think as far as in my life right now, that's the best way I can do it. But yeah, I'd always be looking for other ways to have a good impact on the world. But I think everyone, if everyone had that mindset, I think we'd live in a better world.
Okay. Awesome. Are there any other things that you want to do?
Oh man, yeah, there's tons of stuff I want to do. I want to travel the world. I want to learn as much as I can. I want to read as many books as I can. I want to I don't know, just experience as much as I can before this short life is over, and just take life by the reins and just live it.
Is there anything specific that you wanted to do?
Travel is definitely up there. I want to see as many places as I can. But anywhere specifically, not really, because I want to travel everywhere. But yeah.
Awesome. Our sixth question is, how do you see yourself?
How do I see myself? Yeah. This one's a little tougher. If I'm being honest, I see myself as more of a shy person, or a personality. Even though the way that I live my life, maybe sometimes I don't necessarily give off that vibe, because I'm not inside all the time, and I don't spend all my time on a computer or anything like that. I try to socialize as much as I can, but there's definitely times where I see myself as more shy, more introspective, not introspective, but just self judging, I guess. I don't know, it's not a word, but I feel like I'm always metering myself, and trying not to make a fool of myself, or just constantly metering myself in different situations, and that's not necessarily a good thing, I'm thinking all the time. So I try to keep that to a minimum. But as far as when I see myself as opposed to those negative qualities, I also see some good things too. I'm pretty driven. I'm pretty passionate about what I do, about finance, and about learning and traveling, and I ultimately want to be successful, and I think, if I keep that mindset and I do what I need to do, eventually I'll get there. And also, I think I try to be as best as a friend as I can be to everyone. That's something that's really important to me. Try to be there when anyone needs help, or if they need someone to talk to or anything. I try to see myself in that light as much as I can, and just try to be as good. I see myself ultimately as hopefully as a good person. That's what I push myself to try to be every day. A lot of time it's not super successful, but I at least try to lean that way in my daily life.
Okay. Are there any other ways that you see yourself?
Well, sometimes I've noticed in myself that sometimes I take the easy way out. And that is something I'm not proud of. I'm not prideful in that at all. That's something I try to limit the most that I can. But sometimes I just see the easy way, and that's the easiest way to go, and I do it. And I always regret it later. So I know that about myself. I just naturally incline to the easy way, and so I need to stop that as much as I can.
Okay. Well, our 7th question is, what does love mean to you?
Love. Wow. Depends what kind of love. Like platonic or romantic?
What does love mean to you?
What does love? Well, I guess they could blend together. It's just someone that you would put everything on the line for, and that you would stand by with and be loyal to as much as you can. I think, if anything, that's the most basic thing that humans need to live our lives. We need someone to love and someone to love us. And it's loyalty, and it's commitment, and not quitting when things get tough, and just standing by someone and knowing that they're going to be there forever no matter what. No matter how much you mess up, they're always going to be there because they love you. It's unconditional, and that goes with friends, and it goes with romantic partners. It goes with any other connection that you can have with someone else, and it doesn't matter. If you love someone, you're going to be there and stick by them as much as you can. Yeah.
Are there any other ways that you see love? Are there any other ways that you see love?
Honestly, not really. I think anything other than that I can think of right now is something other than love. I think what I just described is love to me.
Okay, great. Our 8th question is, what should change?
I'd really love to see the partisan politics end. It's something that is... you can see the effect that it has on our society. And if someone introduces themselves as one party or another, you even find myself, and I'm sure you do too, most people, there's an instant judgment that goes on, and if someone identifies as a certain way, there's a certain set of attributes that you might automatically assign to them, whether they're true or not. And I just think that that kind of quick instant judgment is detrimental. And I think if a lot more people took time to talk things out and have good and productive discussions about it, I think the world would be a better place. Especially nowadays with the rise of social media and the internet, and if you don't like fit into one bubble, then it's kind of hard for you to fit in some places. And I'm sure if you look at your Twitter feed or your Instagram feed, like most people on your feed have the same view as you, and I think a lot of time they engineer it that way, but I think it's ultimately doing a detriment to our society. And I think if people just took time to understand where the other person is coming from and to understand their side of the argument, that's the most important thing, instead of that quick instant reaction, I think our society would be in a lot better place. I think, yeah, going forward, that's going to be a huge thing that needs to change. I mean, there's tons of other things that need to change. Climate, awareness, and
so the climate needs to change more.
No, like just everyone should be as green as they possibly can. That's another major thing that should change, obviously. But yeah, just take time to understand where your neighbor's coming from.
Okay. You didn't let me say that. Are there any other things that you think should change? You've already got the system down pretty well. Our ninth question is, what do you believe in terms of a higher power?
Yeah, this is another hard question. I think the short answer to that is I don't know. The long answer is, I mean, it's just hard because my personal view is just like the Bible and all that stuff was written by humans, and a lot of it is metaphorical instead of literal. And I do think that there's a lot of wisdom and great teachings that you can find through ancient texts like that, and I don't necessarily think that everything in there should be taken at face value. I read a really good book a while ago. It's called The Language of God, and it's by a geneticist named Francis Collins, and his basic idea was try to merge scientific discoveries with the doctrine of Christianity. And he had a really good point in there when he was saying that if God actually did create the universe and everything around us and us and everything, then why would he allow science to discover things that disprove his own existence? And so I've kind of taken that belief on my shoulder, and I really think that is a good way to look at the world, and yeah. So as far as that, I think that we don't know enough to say one way or the other. So I'm kind of agnostic on that point of view. If there was, then that'd be great. But that's just what I believe, basically, what I described.
So, do you have any other beliefs about a higher power?
What do you mean? Just
any other beliefs, things that you contemplate about the higher power?
Well, I think if I had to be honest, I'd probably lean towards that there is something out there. Just because the universe is so unimaginably complicated and big and crazy that it'd be kind of surprising if this just all came out of nothing. But I do think if I had to narrow my beliefs down to a certain thing, I think I'd probably say that whatever created this whole thing snapped its fingers and just let it roll out, and doesn't really interfere in people's lives or anything, and just lets it roll out and lets us go about our lives the way that we want, and lets the universe play out the way that it does. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, our last question that is consistent among all the guests that will be on at a social distance is, how will you make this world better?
how will I make this world better? Well, man, I kind of just, my philosophy on that, I kind of brushed over a little bit on my earlier questions. The friendships that I do have, try to give them like the utmost attention and care, and the relationships that I have, trying to be the best person that I can, try to love, in my definition of love a couple questions ago, to really like throw myself into that belief and do that, because I believe that one good thing goes on to another, like dominoes, kind of,
Right.
And so, if I can do one good thing to one person, then they do a good thing to another person. And as we've seen with this exponential growth of coronavirus, if one good act of kindness spreads like the coronavirus, there's exponential growth. And instead of 1 million cases of corona, we might have 1 million cases of kindness. And so I think that's, in my little ways, that's how I try to make the world better. But obviously, I said earlier with my job, I'm trying to like do more with bigger, more macro ways, helping people out with their finances and things like that. And maybe, hopefully, one day I can make even bigger change than that. So,
Are there any other ways that you intend to make this world better?
I don't think, not necessarily with intention. I don't have any like major
or ways
goals.
that you see. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, are there any other
ways that I see
plans just for the betterment of the world or society, humanity?
Well, individually, there's only so much that I can do, but the ways that I see that society can get better is I see an increase in globalization, so we can understand where other people from other countries are coming from, like the rise of the internet to where we can talk to people in Iran, we can talk to people in China, we can talk to people in all these different countries, and instead of our governments going to head, it'll be people going head to head, and not head to head, but talking things out and saying like, I don't really have any bad intention to any random person in China, and I'm sure any random person in China doesn't have any ill intention towards me. And I think if we can see eye to eye on that, a lot of that stuff, through the increase of globalization and through the rise of the internet, I think the world will be a better place for that. Something that I touched on earlier as far as climate awareness and activism, I think that's another way that the world can get better. If you look at how our society is structured now, it's so unbelievably wasteful and just dirty. Like if you go to Starbucks, you get a plastic cup that you use for maybe it takes you 30 minutes to drink your drink, and then you throw your plastic cup away. And think about how many sales Starbucks makes in a day, So there's millions of plastic cups that are being used for 30 minutes or less and then thrown away. And I think and that's for every single restaurant. So I think, that's another avenue where we can make the world better. My big thing is mostly just trying to see things from other people's perspective. I think if more people took that to heart, we'd have a better world there. Other than that, as far as right now, all I can think of is I think those are the major pathways that we can make the world better.
Awesome. So that's it for the set questions. Because Matt is our first guest, I have 5 surprise questions for him, just like anybody else would get.
Sounds good.
Surprise question number 1. What are your favorite beers?
This is kind of a really hard question for me, because I like tons of beers.
Thank God. I thought this wasn't recording, bro. I was about to freaking cry. Okay.
Let's see. So, I guess I'll just go this way. My favorite kind of like crappy beer, like casual drinker, is probably Natural Light. That is just, goes down easy.
You want one?
It doesn't. Sure. I mean, why not?
Okay. How's that thought about your other? That's awesome.
All right. Yeah. Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta be careful with this stuff.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I had 2 left.
Oh yeah.
Like total.
Well, that's perfect then.
Nah.
All right.
Can't do it.
Let's see. My favorite local beer is probably Pumpkin Noir from Marble. It's like a seasonal one. It's like a seasonal stout that they have there. It's amazing. They also have an espresso stout that I like a lot. Let's see. I mean, man, IPA 7K, Santa Fe 7K is amazing. Now, if you let me talk about this I'll just keep rambling. But I think Albuquerque has one of the best beer scenes, and I think that we're lucky, honestly, to have what we have here. Adobe Igloo from Santa Fe is also really good. Stone Berliner Weiss is probably number 2 on my list. Like, it's amazing. Anything from Stone, their IPAs are great. They're one of the best breweries in the United States, I think. National brews. Other than that, I mean, honestly, I'll drink anything, to be honest. But I think those are a couple of my favorites off the top of my head.
Any other beer that you can think of that you'd like to shout out?
Clown Shoes stouts.
Okay.
Any Clown Shoes stouts are great. They're like, so enjoyable.
Awesome.
And high percentage too.
And high percentage.
Yeah.
You always got to go for that.
Yeah.
High percentage. All right. Your second surprise question, Matthew Vining.
I don't think we're even done with this.
That's hilarious. What one thing do you hold dearest?
Oh, man. I mean, it's about as cliche as you can get, but I think it's important to a lot of people is my family and friends. I guess that's not a singular thing.
One thing that you hold the dearest.
One
thing.
Can it be a person, or does it have to be a thing?
However you define one thing that you hold the dearest.
Oh, man. One thing that I hold dearest. I'm going to have to say, man, I don't know. Let's see.
Got him.
There's just too many things. I think if I had to pick one thing right now, it'd be Hannah, because we've been through so much together. I know we have so much more to go, and I want to experience that, and it's something that I look forward to. And we have so many more travels to go and to experience, and a whole life ahead of us, and I'm excited about it, and I just cherish that the most, I think.
I would ask, is there any other one thing, but you answered that.
Yeah.
Really can't do that one.
Beer.
Hannah and beer. Okay. Your third surprise question is humanity innately good?
Oh, man. I think we're learning to be. But I do think that we come from pretty, barbaric roots as far as evolutionary theory is concerned. And I think that there's a lot of things that we fall into, especially when crisis occurs.
Okay.
And stuff. I think that when we have our basic needs met, like we're not hungry, we're not thirsty, we're not we're not in need of anything like how everyone is in our normal everyday society. I think we're normally good, but I think once your kids start starving or your wife starts starving or like something crazy happens, I don't think we're necessarily turn into like the best beings possible. But yeah, we're working on it. I mean, had what 20,000 years to work on it, and we still have a long way to go. But yeah, I don't think we're inherently good. I think there's some people that are good, and I think there's some people that are inherently bad. And that is maybe there's nothing they can even do about it.
But humanity.
No, I don't. I think we're neutral, if anything. We have our good moments and our bad moments, but I don't think that we're inherently good. I know that's like a pretty like buzzkill answer, but it's honestly what I think. So
awesome. So our fourth question is, if you could be one animal, which one would it be and why?
Oh my god. This was a question on my academy 6th grade interview.
No.
And I said a bear when I was in 6th grade, or when I was in 5th grade. And man, I don't think that's the best answer anymore. But now, if I am an animal, if I could be an animal, I think if I could be an animal, it'd be a bird, because it'd be so cool to see life from a different perspective. To instead of walking on the ground the whole time, see it from the air and see a bird's eye view of everything. And you could travel so far on the wind, and when you migrate and stuff. And I think just seeing the world from a different perspective would be great. I would say like a fish or something like that, but I think swimming in the ocean would be pretty boring. It's just water everywhere, there's only so much you can really see in the ocean. So I think a bird would be the best animal to turn into.
Awesome. Great. You have one last question, Matthew Vining, and that is, what do you think the world will look like in 100 years?
100 years. I think that we'll have figured out AI. There'll be robots that are as capable as us or smarter. And they'll be doing a lot of the menial jobs, and even if they are as smart as us, they'll just be doing most of the work, period. And humans would be left to pursue what's important to you and pursue like whatever you want to do in life. You'll be free enough to do that, because you don't have to take a job in a factory or take a job in a fast food place or anything. Anything that if it wasn't for the money, you wouldn't be doing that. So I think there'll be mass automation of tons of jobs. Let's see what else. I'd imagine we're probably going to merge with technology at some point. There'll be like a brain implant or something like that. We'll become cyborgs of a sort, and whether that's glasses that you put on or a brain implant or something, some way your brain will connect to the internet, and you'll be able to surf the internet like as fast as you can think. That's how fast you'll be able to like surf the internet, instead of reading everything or like touching stuff on your phone with your hand. You'll be able to surf the internet with your brain. And let's see what else. There'll be automatic driving. We won't be driving anymore. There might be quantum computers. They might not be very good, but I think they'll probably be there in 100 years. I think the world would be a lot more globalized. I'd be surprised if there was any animosity between countries at all. No, maybe not in 100 years, but it'd be a lot better than it is today. We'll be on Mars, definitely. Definitely be on Mars by then. There'll probably be a colony on Mars. Who knows? Me and you might be there. We'll see. And I know Elon Musk will be there. Let's see. Other than that, I think in the next 100 years, that's pretty much hopefully what we're looking at. And hopefully it's a good future and AI didn't take over the world, kill all of us, or something other catastrophic happen. Hopefully humans are, we're all happy and we love what we're doing and we can spend the time that we want to doing what we want. And there's no major wars or anything catastrophic happen in the next 100 years. Hopefully that's what it looks like.
Awesome. Unless you have anything else to say about what will happen in the next 100 years, that's a wrap.
I think we're good.
Thanks, Matt.
It's been good social distancing with you.
Right?